Hello and welcome to this reading today. So this theme is all focused around the magician energy. Really strong theme that came out for me to do a reading on. And it's a little bit as if some of the collective are sitting stuck in the space where they're moving on from something else into something new, and there's potentially something that you're feeling you're missing, or something that you're unsure of, or there could feel like there's a block, or it could feel like you don't really know what way, what's happening going forward. And as much as we know that we need to just trust in things, it's really hard sometimes to let go of that, right? So let's have a look at one of the first cards that are coming up. I don't have a particular question. As I said, I just feel that there's this energy of the magician that's coming through, and whoever might be feeling similar to what I've just explained there, then this is definitely for you. So I've already meditated on the cards. I have already said my little prayer, and the messages that come through really should be intended for all of our highest goods. So let's have a look at what energy is coming through. I'm immediately just feeling a sense of like quietening my voice. And I don't know if some of you are actually feeling that way, like okay, so it's just changed as I've said that. But I don't know if some of you have actually been feeling like you've needed to quieten your voice, or your voice has been quietened, and you're now coming into the space where you no longer dim your lights, you shine your lights, and it's maybe just a matter of actually looking for some encouragement in that. So let's quickly have a look at some of the tarot. Let's get a feel for what is actually happening. I think, this is just general guidance over here, but in the tarot particularly, I just want us to have a look. So let's see what the current situation might be for us over here. So we'll have a look at what goes on now. Sure, it's quite a couple of cards. So all of these do want to come out for us. Okay, so the first one we have is death. So, just as I said in the beginning, where some of us are actually letting go of something and moving on, this is exactly about that energy. The death card represents transformation. It represents a time for us to actually close off an old chapter and then move on to the new. Because we have the Four of Cups, and the Four of Cups for us can also indicate that we might be feeling like we've lost out on something. So the message of the Four of Cups here is that I listen to my heart and follow my knowing. And some of you might be letting go of something where you really had big high hopes and aspirations for it, but actually, you're at a point where there's a lot of sadness or loss that you might be experiencing at this point. And so for you, it's really about, okay, well, how do I actually let go of that? Because I need to listen to my heart. I need to follow the sense of knowing that I'm going to be moving into something better by letting something else go. The King of Swords is also kind of like a no-nonsense energy. And so for some of you to actually get to this point of listening to your heart, you may have had to actually talk to yourself and say, well, I cannot deny this to myself any longer, or I cannot have this person deny me that any longer, or I cannot have the situation deny me any longer. So this is like a sense of coming back into your own inner power, because here we have the World card, and this really represents a sense of completion. This is us coming through a cycle, full circle. And look how beautiful this being is, just dancing in all their glory and color and light. So there's quite a few. Okay, let's have a look at this one. So Five of Wands is really about, we're in a space where it's almost like a battleground, and we have to battle our way through everybody else and their competing priorities. And some of us might be so giving of ourselves that we put so much into making sure that everybody else is taken care of. But you know what? We need to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves. So yes, sure, we can, stand up for others and make sure that they're going to be okay. But we need to also stand our ground for what we need. For what we need to prosper, because we are the Queen of Pentacles. We are the ones that have been nurturing whatever this is. And again, this could apply, because this is a collective reading, this could apply in so many different contexts. It could be a relationship, it can be a situation with specific people, it can be a partnership, it can be even something between you and your higher self, right? So however that resonates, please take what feels good for you and don't make the rest fit if it doesn't. But this is really a sense of we're letting go of something that no longer serves us, because we've had to listen to our heart and look at the hardships that we've had to endure. So now we're like, well, you know what, we're going to choose our battles very carefully. And that's what the King of Swords is all representing, because we need to come into a place where we can now say, okay, you know what, I am actually done with going through that cycle, and it's time to move on and start anew, because we have been potentially in a bit of a battleground trying to look after everybody else except for ourselves. But now we're at a point where it's like, you know what, I need to take care of myself. So actually, I have everything that I need to prosper, right? So this is kind of the current situation of what's happening. There's 2 more here, and surprise, surprise, what's come up. So that actually explains exactly what the question is all about. Now, the 2 of Cups can indicate that either this is something that has been something that you really love, someone that you really love, but I think this is really calling for you to come back to yourself and to come back in alignment with your higher self and your path, your higher self's intended path for you. One of my favorite readers on YouTube, he's recently been bringing in a theme around you think of yourself as your higher self, as your future self, right? And I really love that way, that perspective. I've also really, for quite some time, when I have conversations with my higher self, I try and imagine that it's, me in the future that knows a lot more about what I in this current reality would know about. So for me, this is really a call to come back into your higher self, because you need to embrace any opportunities that are going to be coming up for you right now. And remember that when we are in alignment with what it is we know to be true in our hearts. If we look at this card, the 4 of Cups, it talks about I listen to my heart and follow its knowing. And once we do that, we're like, okay, cool. What is the next step? What is the next step that we have to take? What's this next big bold move that we have to do for ourselves? Because we are the Queen of Pentacles and we have everything that we need to prosper. But even more so, it is about manifesting perfectly what we desire. So really cool to have the Magician energy. I mean, the whole reading was intended to explore how we get back into Magician energy, or how we fully utilize Magician energy, or even just to remind us that we have the Magician energy. So this is the current situation, and this is what's currently happening. Let's have a look at what's come up in these cards. So definitely some of you might relate with being a starseed. So, I truly believe that each and every one of us' soul has got this not predetermined, but has this path that it has essentially enrolled us in. We've enrolled ourselves into this thing called Earth School. And it really becomes a bit more clear for those who start to explore that side of themselves, who start to go down a journey of self-discovery, of spiritual growth, of understanding that, what you see in your day-to-day world, that's not just it. That's by no means just it. And that's why I love traveling, because you see how very, very small you actually are in the bigger scheme of things. And that's just like going from one continent to another continent, that's not even just talking about the planet or what lies just outside of our planet. So anyway, I could go off on a very long tangent about that, but some of you are, relating to being a starseed, and we need to remember that those of us who are striving to reach higher and higher and higher levels of understanding in our journey right now, we're going to be going through very difficult things, because we're going to be in this energy of having to actually choose our battles carefully. But we're taking on really difficult things. I've taken on some really difficult things in this last year, 2 years. But wow, the tremendous growth that I've seen, I wouldn't change a single thing. And for me, there is nothing better than coming more into alignment with your true authentic self and your true authentic path that is intended for you. So that's just a little note of encouragement for the star seeds over there. Okay, and then, you know, I think for us to actually go into the space of manifesting, you know, where we want to be in a space of creating perfectly what we desire, what's really important for us is to also reflect back. I think that some of us will sometimes sit with some blockages. I'm just going to move these to the side for a second. Some of us will actually sit with some blockages where even if you look at the picture, you know, some of you might interpret it differently, but immediately for me, just this time around that I'm looking at the card, it feels like, you know, she's kind of, this lady is lying there and she's kind of looking into the abyss and she's like, oh my gosh, what's next? What's next? What's next? And sometimes we forget to just take a moment and to actually just reflect, to reflect back on, you know what? We have come through this really difficult battle and we actually have achieved quite a bit. So I'm going to get some clarification on this reflect card. The message on the card is, I hold the mirror up to see, accept and love all of me. And you know, it's truly when we are in that space, you know, when we are in this space, when we are in the space of our of Queen of Pentacles, where we know that we are magnificent, we are beautiful in our own unique way of being and what we have to offer to the world, you know, when we truly come to love and accept ourselves, that is actually when we can start to manifest. And that is actually when we can start to truly come into our own from a place of alignment. So I'm just going to get some clarification on this mirror card. Can we please have some clarification for the collective on the topic of the Magician? Okay, one more. That's too many. And how many has fallen yet? Two more. So we'll just get one more. And I think remember to take some time to slow down. That's also just coming through quite strongly there. So the first one that we have is the crystal path. And for me, this ties in quite well with the starseed card. So let's have a look at this crystal path. You know, I think this really speaks to the energy that I was talking about earlier, where we've been maybe in this really difficult journey in the deep ends of the woods, and we're kind of moving forward. We're trying to move towards completion in something that's been kind of taking away our light. And even in this image, you know, for me, remember that it's almost like I want to tell the story about, like, you know, when we're babies, we are born with so much light in us. We don't know all these different belief systems and societal structures and societal expectations. And, you know, we're not yet groomed into the older, more wiser adults, shall we call it. But we're born with this beautiful big pull of light. And for me, there's almost like this representation of, like, the older that we get, the smaller this light goes, right? And the smaller this pull goes. And eventually we have this pull in our hearts. And for me, that's our connection to the light, which we do through our souls and through many other ways. But in connecting to that connection of light, you know, babies and young children have so much innocence, and they see the joy in everything. They see how beautiful that butterfly is. They see how beautiful the rainbow is, and that's, you know, that light within us is what we need to be nurturing. So if we're walking towards the light, even though we're going through a really difficult path, we've gone through a really difficult path of having to stand our ground. But we're almost there. We're almost there because the magician is here. The magician is here. And it's maybe just saying, you know, this is the clarification for this card over here. And it's maybe just saying, before we now move to the light, let's take a pause here where we can actually see a little bit more of the journey ahead. Sure, we know that we don't know what's happening there. For sure. We don't know what's going to happen down that path over there. But let's just take a rest right here. I mean, she's literally lying down. So for me, the card is, let's take a rest right now and actually just reflect on what's happened so that we can keep building onto this big, beautiful light that we have within us. And okay, yeah, so healing the earth. And this is, it talks about love, humility, and respect. And that kind of follows on really nicely with the message that I just had there. And for me, that's, again, it's about, you know, we all want to do our part in healing the earth and healing one another. We also just need to make sure that we're taking the time to heal ourselves. So when we're looking at this path, it really is, I think this is very strongly a message that's coming through, is let's take a break. While we can see a little bit of the path ahead of us, let's take a break. Let's lay down and rest. And then let's reflect back on things with love and humility for ourselves so that we can be proud of where we are and what we have accomplished. Thank you for that clarification. So I hope that this has been helpful for some of you. I'm going to get some further... Oh, wait. No. We still have these. Okay, my bad. Okay. So this actually ties in very nicely with the Magician energy. And this is the Jade Star. It's all about surrendering. I think it's really important to notice that once we have done the work, you know, there's a certain point where we actually just need to surrender and let go. So the card reads that I am ready to let go with self-compassion. And that's exactly what I just said. I was speaking about, where are those cards? I'm going to keep them out actually, because that's a clarification of the Mirror card over there. So I just spoke about how we need to be going, we need to actually take a rest. We need to take a rest as we see this path ahead of us, and we need to have love and humility for ourselves. We need to respect the journey that we've been through. And so this is exactly it. You know, we need to take that rest when we're at this point over here. Let's take this rest while we're here, while we can see the journey ahead. But as we move forward into the journey ahead, really important that we surrender, and we know that we are co-creating with the divine. Remember, we cannot micromanage the universe. We can do what we can do, but there's a lot of it that sits, you know, not within our path. And this follows on really nicely for what I'm just saying. Let's take a little bit of energy away from trying to control the things that are feeling uncontrollable for us right now. Remember that there are times where we just need to accept the things that are out of our control. You know, there's that beautiful prayer about, you know, give me wisdom and give me courage for the things, give me understanding for the things I cannot control. I can't remember the prayer right now, but that's come up for me. And this is really a call for us to find time to incorporate play into your everyday life. So remember, I was talking about, you know, the little... this little starseed over here, but kids, and how they can be outside and find the most interesting little things to look at and to play with and to be happy about. And that's really what's coming through. There's a really strong theme coming through here to actually go and find a few things that are going to make you laugh, make you happy. You know, even if that's maybe going within to your inner child and thinking about what are the things you really loved doing as a kid. Maybe it was like drawing, you know. Maybe you should go take yourself out to like an art gallery, or go and sit somewhere in a park or on the beach and just draw a little bit. You know, that helps you get out of your... it really helps you get out of your own head, especially when you're looking at this energy of the Knight of Swords, and having going through this battle, which it's taxing. It's taxing having to stand your ground. Okay, because once we do that, and we do take the time to actually go within, connect with our inner child, or connect with childlike wonder, shall I say, that's where we can actually unlock wisdom that's already within us. Remember, we've got our spiritual team, we've got our spirit guides, we've got our guardian angels, we've got our higher self, we've got our ancestors. They are, you know, beautiful beings that are guiding us through this human experience. And when we are so focused on trying to get ahead and trying to fight our way through this world, the physical world, sometimes we can, you know, we can forget to actually, very importantly, sometimes we can forget to actually take the time to go and reflect, so that we have love and compassion for ourselves. But we can also then forget to actually make time to play. We can just be so stuck in things that are not going our way, and, you know, we don't really know what to do anymore. And that's really where Spirit is saying, you know what, you've done the best that you could in this. And, you know, I think there's just a message about, we're really proud of you. you've had the courage to go through something difficult and to work through that and to stand up and to stand in your power and to know what you deserve. But now is the time to move into a happier time. It's now the time to find that inner peace so that you can unlock the wisdom that's already within you. The message over here is experience and failure lead to wisdom. Apply wisdom to a present situation and learn from the spirit world and its collective knowledge. So exactly what I was saying about you've gone through something really difficult, but that, you know, that is what leads you to where you are now. That is what leads you to a sense of not inner wisdom and collective wisdom, right? There's so much wisdom that we have access to, and we just need to actually take the time to get there. So this is such a beautiful energy, and again, you know, really beautiful that we have this Magician card. And in fact, let's finish off by clarifying this Magician card. So it is the current situation right now for those of you who are here, or for those of you who are getting this reading. And remember that you'll get this reading at the time that it's meant for you. So, you know, don't worry about the timestamp. That's the whole point of what I do here at Blue Moon Oracles, is to give you perspective, and it would come to you at a time when you need it. So can we get some final cards in the, I'm just going to move these up a little bit over here. Can we get some final guidance for this beautiful Magician energy? And I'm going to let you guys just have a look at it over there. Some final guidance for this Magician card. Let's have a look what's coming up. The path of the gods. You know, this is intended for you. This is intended for you. Where you are right now is intended for you. What's happening for you right now is intended for you. And I think the guidance is really just to stay in alignment. Stay in alignment with your spiritual team. Stay in alignment with your higher self. Stay in alignment with what feels good. Just going to get the cards out the way, and then we can go through them. Final card. Oh, no, they want a final card from this deck. Sure. Thank you. Final card. Okay. All right, so I can already see the theme over there. Right now we're getting a final message for the Magician energy. So the first one that's come up, which is really beautiful, and this is the path of the gods. So as I said, it is very much intended that you are on this path that you are on right now. You know, the Magician energy is all about making decisions about what you want in your future. And some of us might be experiencing incredible hardship right now, where we have to actually remember that we need to surrender. All that we can do is we can think about it quite clearly. What is it that we want in our future? Do we want to feel this? Do we want to feel that? Remember that we cannot have a fixed outcome attached to what we manifest. If we say that, for example, if I say I want to try and see that, you know, one of my readings has impacted someone positively in some way, I can't base that on a number, a quantifiable number. I just have to say that I just want to have impacted somebody's day at some point in their lives. And maybe that comes through as a comment from someone that says, wow, you know, like what you said today really helped me look at things from a different perspective. Then I have achieved that. You know, so my point is, that's a very random analogy, but you can't be too attached to a specific outcome. But the message really is here that, you know, this is the path of the gods. Trust that you are on the path of the gods. So again, this very much aligns with the world card that we had over here, because it speaks about completion. And so this card speaks about returning home, and this is returning home to yourself. This is returning home to your higher self so that you can continue on this beautiful path of the gods. So exactly what the Magician represents for me as well is freedom, action, and power. So you have the freedom to manifest whatever it is that you want to in your life. But we also need to understand that we need to be free of other things that might be holding us back, or that might not be for our highest good, or that might be something that's going to actually hold us back and not push us forward. So we need to be free of that. And then we need to be responsible in the actions that we take, because we need to remember that even our words have got power. And, you know, what is visualization? What is manifestation? That's a big part of that is actually speaking or thinking or visualizing your future dreams into reality, right? So we need to be responsible with the power that we have in that. These are beautiful cards that have come up over here. So they actually mean, I'm going to do it that way. It just ties in again. I mean, we've got the death card. It's quite the synchronicity happening, actually. So we've had the death card, which is about letting go so that we can move on to new beginnings. We've got the death card again, which is about what parts of, let's actually hold it up for you guys to read it. What parts of you or your habits need changing? How do you feel disconnected with yourself and others? And have you been neglecting your physical or emotional health? And that's exactly what I was saying with this homeward traveler. We need to actually, now that we've completed something, we need to actually have a reunion and a return with our higher selves. So this is definitely representing that. And then we've got the Phoenix card. I just love the energy of the Phoenix. And this is talking about renewal and rebirth. So it's asking us to examine what we need to discard, reassess what needs to be removed, and given a renewed and given a fresh start. Clean up all the things around you that are cluttering your life. So some of you, it might be just like a little shift, like changing something around your house that changes the energy for you. You know, but there's definitely something that some of you still need to let go of, and so that you can move on. Because remember, when you don't let go of something that is holding you very much in place in your current reality, then it's very hard to move forward, because you need to create the space. You need to create the space to move forward with that new knowledge, because the old will be filling up your energy, your space, your life, your time, your thoughts. There are certain things that we just need to actually release. You know, it needs to burn away so that the new can actually grow from it, when we're talking about the Phoenix. And then, okay, you know, this is also, the more that we move into this sense of manifestation, you know, realizing more and more how we are the magicians in our own lives, we are becoming more and more awake. We are going into the next levels of awakening on our spiritual journey. With an intuitive perspective, I see the bigger picture. And again, this is really what I was talking about over here. When we talk about, you know, you have the freedom to make to create the life that you want. You have to take action, but you also need to be responsible for that. You need to be responsible for the power that you have. And so it's really important that whatever it is that we're trying to manifest, we're trying to create, we need to actually take the time. Here we go. We need to actually take the time to make sure that it is in alignment with what we want. It is in alignment with our higher selves. So beautiful energy over there. I manifest multiple opportunities, and the Eight of Wands is generally it's generally a card that speaks about fast moving energy, multiple things coming your way. So also, again, when I speak about like taking responsibility for what you're manifesting, let's keep it simple to like one or two really crucial things, you know, just to start with, because we also need to be ready to receive the things that are coming our way. And then finally, we've got the Judgment card. And again, this has been a very strong theme throughout the reading, in a really nice way to tie up our final message. But this is, I look back with compassion for myself. That is what this card is representing. We have got that so many times in this reading. You know, there's this card that speaks about, I reflect back and accept, there's this card that says, I hold up the mirror to see, accept, and love all of me. So don't be so hard on yourselves, beautiful souls. Don't be so hard on yourselves. You've come through an incredibly difficult time. You know, we've got the Five of Wands that speaks about really big battle. We've got the Knight of Swords. We can see the Four of Cups, death twice. We've got death twice. There's a lot of us that are moving through a lot of big changes. And it might feel that some of it's moving really quickly. But are we truly taking the time to reflect on what we have accomplished? Are we truly taking the time to actually go and enjoy life a little bit so that we can continue to manifest? This has all been a really beautiful message, and I hope that this has helped you in some or other way. Remember that you are going through a period of renewal, but it's really important for us to surrender. At some point, we cannot control anything else anymore. So let's move into that space where we can surrender to the divine and we can actually create what we want to in our lives. Take care, and sending you love and light.